chair that you could use for this beginning one. And turn and face it, and then bring your hands onto the wall or the chair at about hip height. With your hands with your fingers turned up, walk yourself back so your spine is parallel to the floor, and try to get your hips under your heels under your hips. It's a little hard to do, but do your best. Now, bend your knees, feet are hip width, bend your knees and stick your butt back. As you do that, take the tops of your thighs and push them out to the side and arch your low back. So your low back arches and you'll feel this across your buns out towards the sides. Yeah? Arch your low back. Keep the arch and slowly straighten your legs a little bit. And do it again. Bend your knees, keep your low back arched, keep sticking your butt way back behind you and slowly stretch your legs. 2 more times, bend your knees, send your buns way back and out, and stretch your legs. And once more, bend your knees, buns are out, stretch your legs. Then slowly walk yourself back up and come onto your mat. Bring your feet to parallel in hip distance. And inhale, reach both arms to the sky, lift up, look up. With your legs strong, exhale and bow forward. Now if your hamstrings are tight, you'll need to bend your knees, and that's okay because we're going to bend our knees anyway. Bend your knees again. Take your hands just below your knees with your fingers pointing down and squeeze your hands in. So they're outside your knees, fingers pointing down. You'll squeeze in on your shins. As you do that, take your thighs out to the sides. Try to push your buns out back and out to the sides. And then slowly stretch your legs a little straighter, keeping that alignment. Bend your knees, hug your shins in, take your thighs wide, and keep your thighs wide as you slowly straighten your legs a bit. You may not go all the way straight on the first try, that's okay. Bend your knees again, shins stay in, press your thighs wide, and slowly stretch both legs towards straight. Bring your fingertips down to the mat, and if you can't have your legs straight, it's totally fine to keep them bent, but keep pressing your thighs out towards the side. You'll feel that as more stretch in your legs and your glutes. Inhale, reach your heart forward. Exhale and step your left leg back to come into a lunge. You can always put your left knee down if you need to, but firm both legs. Put your right hand again on your outer right shin with your fingertips pointing down. Push your right shin towards the middle of your mat, but don't let it go. Resist that with your right hip and thigh. Press your right hip and thigh out to the right. Press your left hip and thigh out to the left, and you'll get good counterbalance for this stretch. Shins go in, thighs go wide, and you start to stretch in your glutes and hips. Bring your fingertips back down to the mat, push off your back leg, step forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, reach your heart forward, and exhale, step your right leg back, come into a lunge. Bring your hand to your outer shin, push your shin in towards the middle. Take your hips and thighs wide. So take your right thigh to the right, that's the back leg. Take your left thigh to the left. Your shin holds steady, you start to find some opening across your low back and hips, glutes, hamstrings. Good. Push your hands down into the floor, step back to downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in downward facing dog. Rise up on your tiptoes, bend your knees. And still in down dog. Keep your shins steady, but imagine you can press your thigh bones out to the sides of your hips and arch your low back as you do that. Then slowly reach your legs for the mat, little scoop of your tail. And now step your right foot forward between your hands and slowly walk your right foot over towards the left side of your mat. Open your right knee to the right, lower your left knee down to come into pigeon prep. Welcome your breath in pigeon. And now tone your legs. Take your left hip to the left and guide your right hip crease back. Then bring your forearms down or walk your hands even further forward. Notice that I'm not collapsing, I'm not putting my buns on the floor. Keep the leg muscles toned, keep holding steady. Now for added stretch, keep your right elbow just where it is in front. Take your left hand to the bottom of your right foot and push. Push your foot into your hand and your hand into your foot. Breathe deep. Stay active. If your foot's pretty far away from your hand, it may be challenging to get there. You don't have to do this, just an option. Then place your hand back down, step back, downward facing dog. Step your left foot forward between your hands into lunge. Walk your left foot towards the right side of your mat and slowly open your knee to the left. Right knee comes down. Activate your leg muscles so they're strong around your bones. So strong squeeze in. Take your right hip to the right and gather your left outer hip back and down. Tack it down. Scoop your tail, lift up in your low belly, and bring your forearms down to the mat. Again, notice that I'm not collapsing. I'm not just settling onto my bun. I'm using my muscles to keep my hips square. And that actually brings more stretch to my hip and my glutes on the left side. Keeping your left hand just where it is, take your right hand to the bottom of your left foot and push the two together. So hand pushes into foot, foot pushes into hand. Use that to keep squaring off your hips. Power from your belly into your arm and into your foot, and this is dynamic stretch. Keep breathing. And then walk your hand out. Keep your legs strong. Walk your left hand in. Step back again to downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in downward dog. Press your hips back. Press your arms forward. And now lower both knees. Come down onto your back and grab your strap as you do. So go into the hamstrings and the hips area as a way to make more space around your glutes. Take your right leg into the strap, strap around the ball of your right foot, and reach your right leg into the air with it really strong. Now, create a little bit of a curve in your lower back, so your low back's not flattened onto the floor. There's a little bit of a curve. Your right leg might lower when you do that. That's good, that's fine. And then slowly lower your left thigh down to the floor. So what we don't want is the left thigh popping up. We want it resting down on the floor, even if your right leg is lower. Firm the muscles all the way around your bones and right up under your sitting bone in particular. Stay stable there, even as you stretch. And now take the strap just in your left hand and guide your leg just a couple of inches to the left. Your right hip stays down. It's not a big move, so you're not lifted up. It's not a big move. Right hip stays down. And for many of us, it's a lot of sensation, even though there's not a lot of movement that happened. So keep your foot stretched. You may be able to draw your leg closer to your face, maybe not. Just be with yourself as you are. Now bring your right leg back up into the center. Bend your left knee. Lift your hips up, shift them a few inches to the right. And take the strap and just your left hand still. Roll all the way over onto your left hip. So make sure that you really get all the way over so that your sacrum is perfectly perpendicular to the floor and your hips stack on top of each other, that you're not further back. Keep flexing your foot, and then you open your chest back in the opposite direction. Now for a lot of us, the hip will come up, so guide your right outer hip down towards the front, and usually this will get into the outer hip area, the outer leg. Couple of breaths. Push out through both legs firmly. Breathe into the sensation. I know it can be a lot. And then inhale and bring your right leg back up to the sky. Lift your hips, shift yourself way back over into the center. And switch sides. Before you do though, just let both legs come down onto the floor. Feel the difference. My right leg feels longer and my right glutes feel sort of softer, a little more relaxed into the mat. So let's see what happens on the second side. Bend your knees again. Take your left leg up into the strap. Ball of the foot in the strap. Make your left leg muscles strong all the way up under your left seat. And then lower your right leg down. Again, your right thigh comes down to the floor, even if your left leg goes lower. Then in resistance to that, you can bring the left leg back up, but right thigh stays down. Take the strap in just your right hand and bring your left leg just a couple of inches over to the right. It's not a big move. Keep your left bun completely on the floor. Breathe. Where you meet sensation, where you meet challenge, add more breath, add more consciousness, more intention. Just here to create openings where things have felt tight. Come back up into the center, bend your knee, your right knee, lift your hips, shift a couple of inches to the left. Stretch your right leg, roll all the way over onto the side of your right leg, side of your right hip. You might have to put your foot down at start. And then stack your hips so that your sacrum, the base of your spine, is perpendicular to the floor. Flex your foot, open your arm in the opposite direction. So left arm goes out to the left. Keep your legs strong. Strong, strong. Yeah. And again, think of the top of the left hip arcing down towards the front of your mat, the end of your sticky mat. Receive your breath. And inhale, bring your leg all the way back up to the ceiling, Bring your hips back into the center, release your leg from your strap, and stretch both legs out onto the mat. Feel what has shifted. One more little stretch to get into the piriformis before we finish up. Bend your knees. Take your right thigh and cross your entire right thigh over your left thigh. So fully crossed over. Keep your hips heavy as best you can and lift your knees, lift your feet. Flex your feet and swing your feet out to the side. So the left foot goes towards the left, the right foot goes towards the right. See if you can bring your hands to the bottoms of your feet. This is Supta Gomukhasana, supine cow face pose. You hold your feet and you're just, if possible, the legs open more, the knees open more, and push your hands into your feet and your feet into your hands. Breathe. If you cannot reach your hands to your feet, you can use a strap or a towel around your feet to make your arms a little longer. Strongly flex your feet and ankles so that you're not putting extra strain on your knees and hips. And then exhale and release this. Uncross. Change the cross. Take the left thigh over the right thigh. Hover both legs up off the mat, keeping your hips down as best you can so they're not lifting up. And then open your feet to the sides and hold the bottoms of your feet. I'm taking my hand along the bottom of my foot all the way to the pinky toe side on both feet. Flex your feet at the ankles. Push your feet into your hands, hands into your feet. I'm not so concerned with bringing my feet up to my face. If anything, I'm thinking of opening the knees a little more so the feet are parallel to each other along in relationship to the floor. They're like in line with each other. Breathe deep. And then exhale and release your feet. Uncross your legs. Get your hips right into the center of your mat and then slowly reach both legs out onto the floor. Hands out to the sides. Just a couple of breaths in Shavasana to help your body to integrate this stretch and this movement. Whenever you come into Shavasana, drop your attention directly into your body. Just feel. Feel the sensations in your body. And feel your breath. Now bend your knees, roll yourself to your right side. Take a breath on your right side. And push your hand down into the floor and come back up to seated. You can sit in a cross-legged position, up on a block or a blanket. Rest your hands on your thighs and close your eyes. Notice the difference in your body after your practice. Notice also the space in your mind. May this space remain with you as you continue through your day. Bring your palms up in front of your heart. Take a deep breath in and bow your head to your heart. You may lift your head. Thank you so much for practicing today. Have a great day.